I don't even know how long I've been running. Fuck. How, how much? How much further? I gotta go higher. Ah, fuck. Is there any? If you're if you're getting this, make sure you. Oh, looks like they finally made it. I don't have much longer. I don't know if anybody gets this. Then if if okay, testing. We are live. This is just the intro. Hey everybody. Um, this is the channel I was talking about. I hope you guys enjoy. I am just going to be talking about the most random things. Unfortunately, my OCD also made me kind of categorize it, put it together in some type of structure. So, apologies that it's not completely random, but hopefully, you guys still get to hear me ramble. Hey, would you look at that? We've already started rambling. Anyway, um, so I'm just gonna go over a few basic things. It literally is random. Please feel free to engage. Tell me to like lock in, focus, whatever in the comment section. Feel free to. But as it stands, what I'd like to go over is it'll be random. It'll be random. Hope you enjoy the ride. So one of the points I'd like to talk about is fan theories. As you can imagine, I would definitely like to hear random, specific, in depth, whatever fan theories anybody would like to come up with. Feel free to drop it in the comment section. But the two that I'd like to focus on right now is one is Dora the Explorer being blind. Now, for anybody that, like me, grew up watching Dora the Explorer on TV, when you first see her like just on TV, it is nice to see the lore, everything that's happening, Boots, the backpack, everything, the map, everything has a face and everything has a personality to it. And it is kind of cool. But then as you get older, you look back and you're like, there's no way this chick really can't see what we see. Because all she needs to do is turn around. Sometimes she takes a look at the background and still is confused as to like anything that we can see. So I found that fan theory, and it's really funny because that is definitely an it's like a quote unquote adult that grew up watching Dora the Explorer fan theory. There's no way that like a kid watching this saw that. And I mean, also kids do kind of think, but it all depends. Anyway, the next one, uh, the only other one I could like think that was kind of interesting was The Rock, the movie, being Sean Connery's last Bond film. If you kind of grew up like me with Sean Connery, he had a lot of action films. He had a lot of, you know, noir films. So there's enough material for you to kind of enjoy and stuff like that. But when you look at The Rock specifically, there were just enough implications that it actually did tie back to a Bond film, it had his uh, English roots, it had his American history. He was involved in so much. Well, I mean, obviously, those that have watched both the Rock film and then Sean Connery Bond films, does you can kind of get what I'm talking about. But it's just so fun to think that some fan theories are not just in depth, but it actually does really tie through to lore. So if obviously when you look at a fan theory being, oh no, I see a connection, and then sometimes you see like the entire tree, like this is a Bond form. You know what I mean? The only difference obviously being that uh, Bond, quote unquote, Sean Connery in film, is not he's not the main character, but he is the focus point of the entire show, the entire film. So that does make it entertaining. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. So the next part definitely is a part that's kind of close to my heart. It is so I know with a lot of things when it comes to like Netflix and like IPs getting like rebirthed, rebooted, and whatnot. And a big part of it is where these inspirations come from. Because obviously, when a franchise gets rebooted, there is some material, retcons, where there's some material, and then the new directors or the new writing team, they kind of use what was there and then kind of build on it. Or they kind of say, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to take A, B, and C, but then we're going to just have it run as 7, 8, 9. You know what I mean? So there is a bit of a gap between the two pieces of material that we're writing, but it is not technically connected. You know what I mean? So it's a very much hop, skip, and a jump type of tether. So what I always like to kind of focus on, sorry, that was a tangent in itself. So what I always like to look up is times when movies or pilots were not made into full-length series, but the writers or the original creators of this, IP or project wanted it to be a full-length series, even if it's only a few episodes, if it's only like a few, maybe a season or something else like that. But the idea behind it is that what you see is maybe one piece of 20-minute film or an hour film or like a full-on pilot that aired, but then it never went anywhere. So I've pulled up my own like basically pilots that didn't go anywhere. If anybody else obviously wants to drop a few names in the comment section, please feel free to. I would definitely like to look at its concept and then see like if it would be something I'd be interested in. So for the same reason, I'm gonna go over a few, and then if obviously they, you know, if they hit, I'm gonna mention the series or the pilot, and then if obviously it resonates with you, if you know it's something that seems interesting, please let me know, because obviously these are now the lost gems of like the world. It's something that somebody once believed in, and then unfortunately we never got to see it bloom. And you can love or hate Netflix for it, but at least to a certain extent, somebody gets to see their project a full season, bloom. Because maybe I have a project, maybe you have a project that you kind of are thinking of, like, wow, I wish I could like write it out, produce it, you know what I mean? Netflix does help that. Obviously, it's not just easy. It's not just, it doesn't happen overnight. There is still work that happens in the background, but to a large extent, you can at least put out 6 episodes of this project that you thought that like would never see the light of day. You can put out 10 episodes, you can put out 11, 12, 13. It's anything in that range. Netflix obviously doesn't do large order like 20 something episodes, so you're not automatically making a franchise. But if luck is with you, if Lady Luck determines you're the guy or you're the girl, please, like, that's kind of what we're looking at. So in this part of the channel, I'd like to give kind of just a little light, just a little candle for those series that have missed the opportunity to kind of see the light of day. First would be Amazon High. This was a project produced back in '97, and for like the AMA 2K, it is, yes, 1997. So yeah, it's It's not that far back, but 97 is what I wrote down, and I feel comfortable saying that, because it's not that crazy. Anyway, Amazon High is about a girl that gets sent back into time, back to the time of the Amazonians. And it seems simple when you write it down, but I actually thought about it, and it actually is pretty crazy because look at the time we're talking about. In the 90s, it's probably the first time you really get to see girls kind of being comfortable. And I mean that very loosely. If you have anything to say, make sure it's in the comment section. I don't care. In the 90s, it's the first time you really see girls comfortably leading, show running. Like, they are the center of attention. And it's not because of anything randomly idealistic. Yes, we all know Buffy Slayer. Yes, we know Wonder Woman. I get it, guys. I understand. But in the 90s, it wasn't just the IP. It wasn't just the IP. Random shows were showing us. That's what I mean. Anyway, when it comes to Amazon High as a concept, never mind in the 90s now, just for as a whole, having a girl travel back in time and then having her kind of attend school with Amazonians, or to some extent, structured education with Amazonians that are literal warriors, I almost said warrior princesses. I was thinking of Wonder Woman. It just kind of it feels unique because the amount of time travel and displacement, conversations would be nice. Just to see that. Okay, I really have rambled a little longer now. Okay, next one. We again, if you have any feelings about Amazon High, please let me know in the comment section. For 8 days a week. Sorry, let me say that again, just so that you know. 8 days a week is another pilot that never went anywhere. It was basically the idea that four friends in their 20s started working intense and high paying jobs in New York City. So, this was produced back in 2008, and I was actually surprised as to why it didn't go anywhere. Um, Everybody that has done their little report on the show says that it's not clear, 100% clear, why this show never went anywhere. But at the exact same time of its production, it was the 2008 writers' strike. So that does seem like the only legit reason. But when projects go down or they never produce, they never go anywhere. There are sometimes other contributing factors. So I won't get too much into that. But I like it as a concept because it does play into so many other series that we've seen like it, like Friends, How I Met Your Mother, and whatever. But it's not the focus. Clearly, the focus of the show was not going to be the friends' relationships because all of them have known each other either since college or high school. So they are actually close friends. It's not like, oh, two of the friends are sleeping with each other and maybe one doesn't like it, or there's a love triangle or something. No, it would have been strictly how they are dealing with working in New York City, the Big Apple, which would obviously be something, moving on from that one. This one is actually unique. It's not the same as the others, but I do find it kind of quirky. It would have been Famous. Famous was, I guess, shot, produced, or whatever, but it released in 2016. For this one, this is a bit unique. Check this. So it is two teachers that are dating each other. The two teachers are obviously at a high school, but they want to become famous. I believe the one wants to become a writer, like famous for writing, and the other one wants to become like a singer or pop star. Correct me if I'm wrong. I can't remember. But between the two of them, they don't want to live where they are. They still want to be together, but they want to become famous. They want to have the kind of creative careers take off. I guess we all are aspiring to that. I mean, look at me. But when it comes to, when it comes to seeing it in a series, that would be dope to see season one, because there's many ways of writing, and one of the ways you could end it is like a complete 180 on the start of the show, because in most series, just subverting the norm. Like if you have see episode one, episode two, and episode three showing how quickly they can rise, or them on their way to rising in fame, and then by the end of the season, season one, ideally, you're looking at, they could be broken up, or they could be not as famous as they want to be, or they could be superstars. But then obviously you build on it and whatever. But again, like I say, in 2016 there was already so many get rich quick schemes, but there wasn't anything about a couple trying to get it together, like coming from teachers backgrounds, like actively, like the whole show was about them being teachers trying to become, like the whole theme is unique, because you had obviously Empire at the time that was about music and being famous, but it wasn't them becoming famous. It was them kind of staying relevant. The Empire, you know what I mean? So yeah, just as a concept, I do like it. Okay, for this part, I'd like to focus on stuff that I've seen on the internet, and it's actually either funny or like wow. This first part is definitely a different one. It's AI monsters doing interviews. So the reason why I say monsters, it's not to kind of like vilify what I'm seeing. It's more of a case that it is funny. Because where I first started noticing it was with now not too long ago, or is it like a month ago? Could be a little bit less. I can't remember, but basically it was the gorilla doing pre and post fight interviews. Obviously, like on a podcast or whatever. But it came from the 100 man versus gorilla debate. Now, I said this to people. Nobody asked. Oh, actually, a lot of people I did ask about it, but I would always have the same point, and this is what nobody asked for. The fact that I did not believe that we would lose. Yes, I didn't believe that it would be a clean fight. That no, but I do believe that 80, 80, 80 of us would die, but not 100. You know what I mean? Like the way I always explained it was that if you look at it in terms of how you fight, or how we would be fighting, obviously it's not 1 to 1. Obviously it can't be 100 to 1. So the way the ratio would work is that, because even if you look at how normal jumping is, have you seen 5 people jump one person? You run out of space eventually. There's not always going to be space for a foot, for a knee, for a hand, a fist, whatever. Like at some point, it cannot be too many people jumping the gorilla at the same time. Yeah, they take up more space, but not all 100 guys can jump him at the same time. So if you look at it, it's probably closer to like a good 5 or 6 people, max 6. I'd actually say 5 better. But what that probably means is like 4 people are dying every squad, you know. But at least then we're able to send in a replacement that can, replacements that kind of fill it up back to 5, or if more, whatever. But yeah, I do believe that we could, weigh a gorilla down. Anyway, coming back to the AI of it, I appreciate it because it's so funny that when you look at it, it's almost like AI calming us down. Like, oh, nah, you see how lighthearted we are. It's not even about AI taking over. Definitely, you should find this funny, but it's all over the internet. That's the only thing I've noticed. Next part. This is actually I'm really impressed by. Miley Cyrus is getting her star on the Walk of Fame. Why this is actually very like impressive to me, because Miley Cyrus is worth a star, but why it's impressive to me is apparently that she's the first 90s baby to get a star on the Walk of Fame. So everyone born between 1st January 1990 and 31st December 1999, she is actually the first person to get it. I'm really impressed. I'm happy for her. And in this one's actually very funny and cute. I think everyone has seen it, but it's like I said, it's just so cute. A White House soldier slash guard who got scared of the lightning strikes. Now, I would assume that he maybe has a fear of lightning. It's not his fault. I can't blame him. Obviously, in terms of a threat or whatever, it does kind of knock him a few points down. But I can't judge. I definitely don't want to judge because I have a fear of sharks. And if you put me on the water as a marine, do not expect me to be at full capacity if I see sharks in the water. Matter of fact, don't even ask me to jump in the water. We're gonna have a problem. Sarge, I'm telling you, we're gonna have a problem. Admiral, don't do that. Don't ask me to get in the water. If a man's overboard, it ain't me. I know that much. I know where solid ground is. It can't be me overboard. And if I am overboard, shoot me. Okay, that's all I can ask for. That's let's leave it there. Okay, so for the next part, it's it kind of is like the unproduced movies or series. The only difference is with unproduced movies and series, like I mentioned earlier, there will be a bit of hard work that has gone into it. I.e., there was a writer that decided he's gonna go and get a producer, he's going to get a director, he's going to put in the hard work so that there are actors and ABCs and all of this so that their piece is produced. With this segment, I would actually like to give a little light to novels or alternative media, maybe comic books or anything like that, that have not been produced either in live action or animation. This is a big part. Please, guys, feel free to drop a recommendation or whatever in the comment section, because this is the part that, if before, you definitely like shining a little light, whether it's candlelight or whatever, to certain projects or whatever, yeah, we would definitely need you to carry a torch. You know what I mean? Like, bring the effort, bring the fire, guys. Because, like I mentioned, I want to kind of give light here to stuff that has never been produced, but I personally like it. I'm gonna mention this now. Crazy idea. I would personally like when it's a novel, I would like to read piece of the novel out. If everyone's down with it, you don't need to be down with it. I don't need you to agree. But hey, I would like to, just run it by you guys, brainstorm, run it past you guys. I would like to read like a piece out of it. So if you're down, I don't mind doing this next week. But yeah, the first one I'd like to talk about is The Night Circus. If you do know it, cool. If you don't, it's a book by Erin Morgenstern. What she did with this, she really cooked. I appreciate everything that The Night Circus is. It is a beautiful book about magic and love. I don't think I haven't read that many novels about magic and love as the primary kind of points. But if I look at anything like, the classics, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, this is a little more fluid, if I can put it like that. Like, if you look at like Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter, the way you do magic is a structured system, because from the knowing the spell to executing the spell, it requires a little bit of study. There's no there's no free form. As creative as you can be, there's no free form in the art itself. Whereas what the Night Circus does, it actually paints it a little differently. The way that the Night Circus shows a magic is actually more of a muscle. It's literally a muscle. So if you have the creative mind to execute your spells and whatever in a different way, that's cool. But at no point do you physically need to chant, if I can put it like that. Because at no point throughout start to end of the book, there's no point where you need to say speak in Latin, or if you're speaking in English, make sure you are referencing the book or whatever. Okay, I'm tangenting, but you get the idea. It's a very fluid system of magic, and what makes it even better is that the way we see magic is very, inspirational. What we see it, we get inspired to think of endless tales of the infinity. You know what I mean? Like there's no limit to it. And the way she integrates this with her writing is that she actually immediately hides magic from normal people. So only people in the know that that is magic. Everyone else is like, oh, I don't know really what it is. It must be them just being magicians. Yes, the actual main cast, the female protagonist, is a magician, but technically speaking, anybody that has access to the way magic works within the Night Circus, technically all of them are magicians, but it's obviously in different levels, varying degrees. It's actually very beautiful to read. The next book that I'd like to focus on is Who Sups with the Devil. Uh, it I'm actually surprised that this one nobody talks about. Keep in mind, it's not as flashy or attention grabbing as The Night Circus or most other novels in the genre, but it really does have a unique taste to it. So, Who Sups with the Devil is mostly about a detective investigating a death. Very long story short. And the way that you follow the case isn't even like, obviously it's like any detective case, investigating the crime scene, seeing who's all involved, possible suspects, and then hunting down the suspects. But there's a plot twist that I wouldn't expect, and I would love to see this be produced basically in, like, whether it's a is it HBO, not HBO, BCC, British, like a British channel, same way that we've seen Bridgerton or whatever, but not for it being a long series, literally just 6, 9, 10, even max 13 episodes. It really doesn't need that much. It would be amazing to see this produced, because there are actual elements that would require special effects. So it's not just like completely bland if you're like into sci-fi, and it's also not completely like overpowered with like special effects or like the sci-fi or fantasy genre. It's literally just enough special effects that you would feel like you're watching a unique story. There is a little bit of gore, there is a little bit of tension, and some themes of horror slash thriller that make it really unique and interesting. Okay, so, and to kind of wrap up, I'd like to kind of focus on mythic creatures. So, in the large scheme of things, we've kind of, how can I say, the the norm in today is to fall in love with whatever random creature they put on the TV screen for us, whether it's Dracula from Castlevania, or maybe Hugh Jackman's werewolf from Van Helsing, you just fall in love with the monster. But I'd like to actually take it a little bit back to, you know, um, what the monster was originally. It was a mythic creature that was designed to keep us in the house, scared and shitting ourselves. So, in essence, I just want to, show how scary these things were. The first one definitely is grootslang. The grootslang, for those of us in South Africa, just for context, it's in or where the myth is based, where they say it is still seen and ooh, scary, it's in Richtersveld, Northern Cape. I looked at the Richtersveld. Richtersveld is far as F. It is basically the northern equivalent of Cape Town. It is nowhere near south. But obviously, it's not the highest point in South Africa. It's just very north. It's on the coast. Anyway, the Grootslang, no big surprise, but there's actually no universal depiction of it. But the few depictions that kind of line up is that it has elephant and snake qualities. Apparently, just it for those that do remember it, we actually got to see for me, it was the first time I saw Grootslang. It was on the Secret Saturdays cartoon show. I believe it was season two. Correct me if I'm wrong. But it was basically it was a giant elephant, green elephant with a snake for a tail. Yellow eyes. Now, this in terms of a cartoon for the early 2000s made sense. It made perfect sense. What made it a little bit funny slash weird was that when I was looking it up, apparently it's only had that depiction in modern media. Classically, or just historically, they would say it's actually more like a snake, and it would just be that big that it looked like an elephant. You know what I mean? That is actually truly scary. Like if you tell me it's an elephant with a snake tail, I'd be like, okay, that's kind of scary. But if you tell me it's a snake the size of an elephant, and it like whether it has elephant strength or whatever, and then another part of it is that this is a snake that lives in a cave. In the cave, it is agreed upon that there are diamonds, but some depictions of the snake itself says that the snake has diamonds in its eyes, like in its sockets, like it doesn't have eyes, it has diamonds for eyes. That is truly scary because do you know how much lore there is about poking a snake's eyes out and it, like that being halfway to defeating it? You're telling me that option is gone. That is not fun. That is not funny. That is not okay. I don't know who cooked this thing up, but they were truly trying to scare people. And then the next one, it would be the Jikininki. This one is a bit of a funny one. It's not specifically funny comedy, but the story behind it is very also unique. And apparently, it was once upon a time a priest reborn as a corpse eating ghost. Now, that in and of itself should scare anybody because what is a ghost doing eating corpses? This myth comes from Mino, Japan. That's kind of it's dope. It's on the south side, but again, what do you mean priest reborn as a corpse? Like, imagine that. That's not even a ghoul, because a ghoul is just something. It can be either something born like that, or a partial zombie. Kind of cursed to be like that, or you know what I mean. Like there's different ways of chopping up a ghoul. What do you mean priest reborn? That's that that actually is a bit bone chilling because that means that this thing is actually born, like it really exists. I think when they say ghost in that sense, it's just to depict phantasm. You know what I mean? Like it's ethereal, it's non-corporeal. You know what I mean? Like it's you know what I mean? It's otherworldly. Anyway, yeah, that's the little nightmare creatures. Okay, guys. So yeah, that's been today's episode. Thank you very much for anybody watching today, next year, literally in the future. I thank you, thank you. Um, this is a good point for me to mention it. When it comes down to the channel, I hope this point rings true to everyone. This is my intentions, because it's always good to make your intentions. You've stuck around this long with me. I hope you don't mind sticking just for the this is the credits. So roll credits. If you don't want to sit around, skip to the next video or next suggested video on your feed, please go ahead. But for those that would like to see more of the channel, please be advised I am 100% asking for full engagement. Yes, please feel free to comment, share, bring opinions, whatever, but you do not need to subscribe. I think yes, obviously, if you want to subscribe, if that's what leads your heart, I would greatly appreciate it. But no, I'm not going to be asking for subscribes. You can like the video, definitely, that would be appreciated. But yes, again, thank you for the any subscribers that I have gotten up until this point. Thank you for any subscribers I will continue to get. Thank you very much for engagement. Thank you very much for everything. Thank you, guys. I'll see you next week. Bye bye.